Ardraya Rudra Prathamanach eti Shrestho Devanam Patir Agniyanam Nakshatram Asya Havisha Vidhema Manach Prajam Ririshan Mota Viran Heti Rudrasya Parinovranakto Ardra Nakshatram Jushatam Havirnach Pramunchamano Duritani Vishva Apaghan Shansam Nudatam Aratim. So with Ardra Rudra comes expanding forward Shreshtach Devanam, the best among the gods, Patich, the Lord, Agniyanam, of those who cannot be killed. Nakshatram Asya, his is Nakshatra, Havisha Vidhema, we praise with offering, we honor with offering. Manach Prajam Ririshan, may he not harm our offspring, our birth in the future. Mota Viran, may he not harm our heroes. Maharirishan can be translated also, may he not cause failure for our prajas, for our offsprings. So may he not be a cause of their failure, and may he support, let us say, our heroic souls in the future.
It doesn't really sound like Rudra. It sounds more like Agni, because I mean, Rudra is kind of warm and fuzzy sounding, helping our kids and helping all of our endeavors, and Rudra doesn't sound like that usually. I mean, he's usually kind of dismantling things and bringing it back to the transcendental, and this, you know, moving forward sounds way more like Agni, like his son or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's an impression we get from Rudra, usually from the like Shiva as a destroyer or something, which is kind of imposed on us quite a bit. Rudra is the most beneficial one. He gives all the gifts and they actually grow by those gifts and they can achieve. So he is a great support in everybody's endeavor or, effort and striving forward. So not only that he destroys the obstacles and kills the enemies, but he is also a great Ashutosha, easily satisfied with our efforts and grants us big boons all the time to move forward. So he is both. Yeah. So I mean, so Ririshat, Ma Ririshat, the Ririshat is the injunctive from the aorist, reduplicative aorist from root rish, to harm and so on. And a reduplicative, that means it is from causative sense. Here it is Ririshat, Ma Ririshat, should not harm, the first meaning. Rish, fourth class, injure, hurt, harm, destroy, ruin. But Reshayati, to cause, to miscarry or fail also. And this to cause to fail, I was building on. May he not cause our future projections or future embodiments to fail, because it is in his all-powerful, removal of all obstacles. He may also remove something which is necessary for the future generations. And that's what Sri Aurobindo speaks when he says that why Advaita can be dangerous, because they want to burn all the bridges with the reality to go to the spirit. And when they do that, I'm speaking now in my way, When they do that, they burn the bridges which are actually necessary for the future manifestation of the spirit. And once they do that, they cannot come back.
Right.
It is not easy to come back. And that's what Sri Aurobindo, when he met with one yogin in Himalayas, he told him, he explained to him what Sri Aurobindo tries to do. He told him that I'm trying to do this to transform life and so on. And he said, you have such a beautiful vision, but I cannot come back because I burned those bridges, those elements which are necessary for doing this work, for allowing that spirit to come through those, the um, mediators. Those mediators were burnt. They are no more available. Bridges are not there for the spirit to come to this Prakriti. So you go there, yes, you disappear in Brahman, but you have nothing to offer to this creation. And this is something why I'm bringing this topic, because it justifies the usage of this Mari Rishat. Yeah? May our future embodiments, our offspring, would not burn or do not destroy the connection with the transcendental. Yeah? Do not destroy all the connections. Keep them intact, please.
Setumstara
Mm.
from Samaveda. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt, but did not clarify. But that's the subtlety which may help to understand why causative sense here, Mari Rishat, not just don't destroy, don't cause to destroy, so just don't cause to fail our progeny. So
Brilliant. That's where Panini has given us a little entryway into the. But so, how do you feel that this applies to Ardra?
He is so mighty that for him, truly speaking, all this does not really make sense. All this manifestation, he is not truly speaking as the he's not interested in manifestation. That's why he is always, ascetic somewhere in the Himalayas. This is in Puranas.
That's Rudra, you mean Rudra?
Yeah, we are talking about Rudra, yes.
Well, I was asking about Ardra.
Ardra is his representative in cosmos. It is his time of action. Yeah? Why it is needed, I think it makes a correlation between what Soma and Rohini with Prajapati already started. They pushed the whole manifestation to come into being, and that correlation or that cleansing or that waking up call, yes, please don't be taken only by this movement. Remember who you are, remember what you are here for, remember the difficult task you are given here to manifest the divine, not just to indulge the manifestation. Yeah, this is a very
Brilliant. Yeah, quite
proper
good.
place to come into the game.
Right. Perfect. But it's so interesting that he comes after the manifestation. I mean, after the Soma and after the Mrikshirsha and after Rohini and Prajapati, he's now Rudra comes. It's like instead of being on the foundation of Rudra, it's Rudra has come after those things, and brought some kind of sobering return to the transcendental foundation before moving forward again with Aditi.
Right. He makes that correlation with why we are here, what we are here for, and he brings the force which actually removes all the unnecessary things which kind of stick to us on the path. So he is actually the one who cleanses everything, who removes the dirt from the shoes, as it were, who destroys everything which is not supposed to be. And that power is absolutely necessary. It has to be activated before Aditi will start building up.
Good.
I was going to comment in the cycle here, with the descriptions we're getting of Rudra and Ardra with its moisture and with this, this connotation of the resonance in the Himalayas and storms. I see a connection of you have all of this wonderful with Rohini and Soma, but this is where it actually comes into manifestation through these waters rushing onto the mountain and down to the earth. So does that make sense?
Brilliant.
Yes, it's because, of course, well, I've never been to the Himalayas, but I've been to mountains in North America, and when you get to those higher elevations, where it's a very elemental world you're in with these storms and this drama, and you see these pictures of these people trekking up to the shrines in the Himalayas, which are basically at glaciers and narrow valleys with rushing waters, and it's really quite dramatic,
I
How
never.
do you see? How do you?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Vladimir.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, I was just going to ask Lynn how she sees that waters connecting to the teardrop, the tears and the grief that Ardra seems to expose.
Well, one of the things that happens with the high emotions when we express ourselves is those tears. It's you may have some, there may be some turmoil, but when to process it as a human, you go through those waters of emotion.
Well, yes.
Makes sense?
But, yeah, of course. But I was
that's
hoping
as far as I'm sort of tiptoeing around across the little rocks across the stream. I don't have a fully formulated thought there.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a difficult word, Ardra. And it is used as wet, as moisture, water, and so on. But I'm not sure what it really means. And I think it means some cleansing in a way. So the water is always the means of cleansing everything and washing away, as it were. I wash my hands off you. So to say, there is something which essentially remains, but that additional part, which is not a part of the central part, can be washed away. And that is the meaning, I think, which Ardra has. It removes everything which is not essential, which is not needed for the future. And that's why it is mentioned here. Please do not make our future generations fail, and our heroes. Why heroes? Because we are always constantly met with this opposition from everything which is not supposed to endure and wants to come in and find its proper meaning through us. The opposition is felt, and he is doing the work. He is the force of this cleansing, and more of that than anything else, of course. And in that sense, he is not very much concerned with manifestation as such. He is not building up all those connections and trying to keep them as Vishnu does. Yes, he is more removing the bigger obstacles on the way.
Wickedness and resistance, says.
Right, right. So he has to remove them because they are clinging, they're stuck with us for some reason, because we entered into this darkness as heroes, and this darkness is sticking to us, and so he has to hit it. And if with hitting that, he may hit something which is needed for us in the future to cleanse and to build a bridge and to deal with and to nurture. And because of that, there is this appeal. It's a constant appeal to Rudra. Please don't destroy only this part. Don't destroy all the parts.
So there's a quality of discrimination implied in this, and it's into and Ardra as a nakshatra takes place only in, right smack in the middle of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, which is that quality of discrimination, or among the things that he's known.
Very close to it, because Ardra, if you look at the word Ardra,
Let's look at that.
you will see that you can see the trees here, but it will not explain Ard, wet. I don't think it is fresh, not dry. So not much living because of the waters.
But Ardra,
the root Ard,
Ard.
to move, there would be no, to dissolve, to torment, to hurt.
Yeah, it's the teardrop is a symbol that's often associated with the nakshatra in Jyotish.
Yeah, that's where the moisture is expressed and the rain that you are describing. But it's also about, it's about purification. It's about not getting hung up. And it's and the point that Vladimir is making, which is so important. It's just so important with purification, because it's, we see, like with fasting and things, you can become, emaciated through something. It's too much over purification. It has to be measured. It has to be discriminated or discerned what to keep and what gets flushed away.
Yeah. And you see that hurting, destroying is exactly this cleansing, part of the waters, which is removing and I think it is belonging to the word, to the root rid, which is which we don't see anymore.
Rudrid.
Rid. We have rid to grow, but we don't have rid. But we have somewhere rid with maybe
Rudra.
Yeah, rid to grow we have, but there must be a rid also. From here we have.
Maybe is it a long read?
No. There is no really long roots in Sanskrit. Okay. Rad we can have very similar to rid, radati, to scratch, to scrap, to bite, to rend, to break, to split, to divide. This is to cut. From here we have radiation, this rad, kind of cutting or crushing or.
Do we have Rud?
Yes, we have Rud. From here, Rudra.
Exactly.
But it is with which is duality in a way, roar to cry, and also to shine must be weeping, crying, sound, grief, disease. They don't give Rudra. They may give crying and shining must be, because usually the sound and this light go together. It's like omitting the light, omitting the
there's vapor chasing away.
Here, red, shining, glittering. Here, glittering, shining, red. So there are two different interpretations of Rudra, yeah? The one who is crying, roaring, and who is red and shining. Roaring and emitting light, emitting sound and emitting light, casting light and sound is actually within one root. Yeah. So Ardra is from this rid, from which Rud is produced. Yeah. So they are kind of closer related than it looks like. So one is with its flow and with its vibration, substantial kind of stream cleansing the thing, and other is also emitting light and sound.
Hmm. Which is
Rudra. Yeah. Rudra
Rudra,
is shining. By the way, when Mother met with Rudra, most probably I mentioned this before and not once, she saw him as a golden red color. This absolute marvelous supramental color of the golden red. Not just golden, but golden red, this deep golden color, shining aura.
That's the color of the sun.
Right. When sun is setting, that type of color, when you see that golden red. So he is the one who is to cleanse here, to make only for the future only that which makes sense, and to develop, and things which do not make sense have to go.
Gosh, we need him. We need him now for sure.
Yeah. And he will come, definitely. There is much space for him, much work for him to do. Yeah?
Yeah.
Heti Rudrasya Parinovranakto, and his Heti, his flame or his missile or his impact, he will do the impact on all of our creation, should get away from us or should not reach us or should deviate from us. Ardra Nakshatram Jushatam Havirnach, and Ardra Nakshatram should accept with happiness, should rejoice with our offering. Pramunchamano, releasing both. Both, that means him with his action and his Ardra and his Nakshatra. Duritani Vishwa, cleansing all the difficult paths, or all the paths which deviate from the truth, removing all the paths which are, or freeing us from the paths, from the stumbling blocks on the way. Apa, away nudatam, may he remove aghashamsam, it's a very interesting word, aghashamsam aratim, the wickedness and resistance. That's how I translate. But if you look at agha shamsam, shams root means to point, to point towards, or to praise. Praise means to point. So to say, you you concentrate on one thing more than on others, and that is praising. Yeah? So to say, you point, you attend, you fix your consciousness upon one object or subject, and that is praising or pointing. So that which is pointing us or towards agha, and aghas is either sin or narrowness or darkness, that which is narrowing down our consciousness. From here we have ahi, amhas. Amhas is darkness which is narrowing down, and ahi is the snake or python which is coiling down our consciousness, pressing it down. So towards this narrowness, pointing towards narrowness, he should remove from us. The temptation by adharma, the temptation by darkness, he should remove. And aratim is that not giving oneself. Ra is to shine, to be totally at home, and to give. And arati is not giving, and from here resistance. Not wanting, shrinking back to oneself, resisting everything.
Selfishness.
Selfishness. Excellent. That's the word. And aghanshansam is something to think of, because something in us is attracted towards adharma. Yeah? Because we came here with that force. We wanted to calculate incalculable, yeah? To find the divine there where it was not. Because we know somewhere deeply within us, we know that the divine is everywhere. So we are attracted to the challenge. And this attraction to the challenge can become a challenge for us. So please remove away that kind of deviation from the path. In Isha, he says also, Yuyodhyasmat Juhurana Menon. Remove from us this tempting deviation from the path. Same here. Remove from us this fixation on narrowness, on the details, on the nitty-gritties. Keep us on the path, vaster, seeing bigger, not to become too much narrow, focused on some small things.
I don't know why it is people are so, riveted by darkness. It really is, you see it in all the entertainment and you drive by an accident and you want to slow down and see what's going on. And I mean, we're just, as human beings, we can't help but be in some way
Attracted.
attracted to this pain and darkness to some measure, in some degree, more than others for some of us.
And why is that so? What do you think? Let me come. 1 second. I will have to.
Oh, did you get your son taken off the email?
Well, I don't know. I've been multitasking.
Don't you
but-
do that all the time?
Yeah, but it was part of it. It's an invite. It ended up as an invite when I was traveling a number of years ago. So I had multiple ways to access, and so I just wanted Vladimir to take it off the invite when he gets a chance. But it's not.
Did you get his ID?
No, because we went up there, and by the time we got him to the tag office, there was already a line, and what they did is they greet you at the front, take your name and number, and then they said, we'll call you about half an hour before your turn comes up. So it'll be about 3 or 4 hours. So we went back to where he was staying, chatted for a while, and then we had to leave. But of course, naturally, everybody in the place fell asleep. Nobody answered the phone, so we never got his ID. But it's walking distance from where he is. We left him with $25, which he probably has not spent now. But basically, we sort of said, hey, you know how to get it. You just need to get there very early, camp out at 5 in the morning, and be first in line when it's cool. And we even pointed out, there's a small check that has come. We can send you to take to the check cashing once you have your ID. But that's probably going to be, he's probably not going to do that. So, that's his problem.
Indeed. Well,
so
wow. But how frustrating that you gave up. Well, I mean, we're going back all over.
It was an excuse to say, hey, we've done our thing. And there was a little bit of stuff we took up there, and, got to see him in a, relatively pleasant, till the next thing happens that's going to fall apart. So it was, it happened, and it was just part of this interesting week. So, but other good things are happening, and other good things are happening, and people are learning Jyotish, and I'm, so that's, we'll leave it for the Davis and Osiris to sort out,
Yeah. And don't forget to check in with Rudra here because we see. I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's
do you have any positions in Ardra?
no, but my sister is Ardra Moon. And so it was she's 3 years younger than me, and it was astonishing to the entire family. Apparently, I was a placid baby, and this perfectly healthy, welcomed little girl, was just a screaming maniac for the first year of her life.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just angry about, it's like, I knew that my mother's best friend was her best friend, because when Liz would come, she would offer to change my little sister's diapers, because my little sister, baby sister, would fight her mom over everything, including that.
Right. Right.
But and she still has a flair for the dramatic, but she's manifested some of the more positive things of this over time, but plenty of drama in the life.
Well, I just feel so grateful that this verse has really shed a lot of light onto I mean, all these verses, I mean, I feel like we're getting to know the nakshatras in such an intimate way that we wouldn't have access to even with the training that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Without this.
And it's one of these things that because there haven't been translations out there, it's then you've been dependent upon the interpretation of whoever you're studying with.
Yeah.
Yeah, this attraction to the darkness, to adharma, which even Bhishma mentions in the Mahabharata, at the end of his life, he knows what is dharma and what is adharma, but he doesn't understand why dharma is not attracting him, but adharma. And this is a big philosophical question, yeah? And we need Rudra's correlation here. If it would not be there, we would fall into the darkness without his support, without his constant interference and removal. And so this is the quest. When we enter into this darkness, when we entered at will, we wanted to find the divine, to manifest the divine in the total absence of the divine, as it were, total absence of his awareness in the darkness. Because we know that he is everywhere. We know it's inbuilt in us.
Right.
But the danger is still great, yeah? And we need help. And this is the help, actually, of our souls, to remove everything which is not belonging to our souls, to our inner beings.
Wow. So profound.
Yes. Yes. And well, I'll say in the story of my little sister is that eventually my mother received wise advice when this was before my sister began school. She realized that she was paying much too much attention to her tantrums, and when my sister was left to commune with Ardra personally, without interference, she would get over it. And recover. You just had to ignore her when she hit the ground pounding and wailing.
Right. So, and next we are having this Narvasu. Yeah. All right. Let's look into that, I guess. Let me remove this. Oh, it doesn't go like that.
So is this exactly the document that you sent us with all the vocabulary?
Yeah, I'm changing it on the fly, so to say.
I can see that, but you did send us the vocabulary and the grammar and everything.
Right. Even there, I'm a bit kind of adjusting things because for example, I changed this pramunchamano. There is a problem with this word. It can be translated in Vedic Sanskrit as Atmanepadam. Participle can be translated as passive participle or Atmanepadam. Depends. So who are these two who are? So I came to a new translation, yeah, that these two, Ardra and Rudra, may they clear up the path, yeah, releasing or forward, making free path forward from all the stumblings on the way. These stumblings actually are generated by those darker states of consciousness to which we are attracted. Yeah? So they are inevitable. They will immediately appear the moment we are attracted to something, some absence of the higher consciousness. So
But maybe it's a habits. It's habits.
but we need it's I think it's inevitable, because those states of consciousness have them. They are stumbling blocks, actually. They are stuck and they want to be liberated. That's pramunchamano, liberating all the stumbling blocks from that stuff which is not allowing them to be what they are meant to be. And that idea that we are engaged with darkness and have to get help of someone who would, how to say, remove their influence onto us when we are dealing with them. That is exactly Rudra. He is.
So, but it's something in consciousness, which is like it's our choice. Those blocks come from only our own choices, from our own will. But it's not the higher will. It's choices based on
Dealing with those lower material. Yes,
yeah,
exactly. It is their energies. It is the energies of those materials, of that unconscious stuff we are dealing with. And from there we get mudded, as it were. We have to cleanse ourselves constantly. So there must be a help if we are doing that sacrifice.
hmm.
I think, and that is
But you said something earlier about the all of these stumbles have a utility as well. I mean, they the option has been put there by the divine, um, and it's there's always something that we are learning powerfully, even sometimes more powerfully learning by the stumbles than
right.
by the clear, Audubon.
Yeah, because we invoke, and we immediately invoke in ourselves the part of the higher consciousness which is responsible for that particular problem in time and space, for that stumbling. It's not just general divine. It is a very particular solution in a particular form of embodiment which is to be dealt with. And that
Oh,
is a very valuable experience.
yeah, yeah. So we become ever more capable and competent by every
Right.
stumble and
On,
every rehabilitation from it.
right. On the ground, we are becoming capable. That's the point. Not just capable beyond the ground, but on the ground, here in manifestation, because we dealt with it, with that stumbling. We learned how to overcome it. And that's what we do actually for all of the manifestation. Any one of us who overcame some stumbling block, some problem, is actually contributing to the whole humanity.
Yes.
And other ways around also. Every time we fail, it is we are reconfirming the failure of all the humanity.
So your baby sister was doing something very valuable for for all the rest of us with every tantrum.
Well, I'll tell you, it didn't feel like it at the time, but
No, of course it never
yeah,
does at the
right,
time.
whatever. But
Tell her I thank her.
yes, yes. Well, she went on to do a lot of personal growth, so it's good, I guess.
Indeed, indeed.
But by the way, your example with this girl who is crying with reason or no reason made me think. Very interesting thought, really interesting thought, which are very difficult to capture. It's always away, so it goes away all the time. That many things in this world have to be decided and realized by force, not by knowledge. Knowledge is late, always delayed. Force is more effective way of doing things, and that is Rudra.
That is
So
also Stalin.
yeah, there are also asuras, definitely. There are darker forces which are dealing with force. But if the divine would deal with force, can you imagine? That would be Rudra. It will look like destruction because destruction is destruction. So you have to destroy. Why this big world war has happened between Hitler and Stalin, two great hands of one asura. I believe that they belong
Wow.
to the same realm. Yeah, can you imagine they would be friends? What would happen
Oh,
to the world?
we just said that yesterday. We're watching yeah. Isn't that, or another way to say that is that, Trump is a moron, but can you imagine if all the stuff that Trump has put into motion would be done by somebody who was as shrewd as Hitler was or Stalin was, where we would be right now.
Yeah, but I think they were similar to Trump because that time humanity didn't have that full experience.
Yeah.
Now we had the experience of Hitler, Stalin, all kind of liars and all kind of manipulators. We already have it. Somehow we recognize it. Many of us still fall for it because it's more effective. Trump is more effective. It's very close to what I want to say about this Ardra, yeah? That the powerful decision is more appealing to many people who do not want to find the solution, Vishnu's solution. So they would like to have a power, authority, decided, finished, not thinking anymore, not trying to decide, not doubting anymore. So it frees a lot of energy.
Mm,
And in a way,
brilliant.
yeah, it pushes us to do things more than we think. Not everything is decided by knowledge. Yeah? Many things, this crying girl is causing such inconvenience in you that you immediately see things which are not really fitting, which are not true in your life. You immediately see your ego. You see how you are intolerant, how your stupid thoughts about yourself and children and everything is rising up. You can examine yourself from the negative or hidden under carpet. All hidden inconsistencies are coming up, and you hate it. We don't like it. We don't like to face inconsistencies,
Right.
but she's forcing us to do it, and then we have to deal with them. And
So that's Ardra then.
that is Ardra. She is maybe doing the work of Ardra.
Yeah.
That was the thought. There was one other element that not everything is decided by knowledge. Sri Aurobindo says when knowledge is useless, then in the Japanese cultures, he comes to his problem to the doors of his enemy, and he creates harakiri in front of his doors of his enemy. That is disagreement. Disagreement is shown by force, not by knowledge. Or you take the samurai sword and chop the head off. That's how the thing can be decided. More powerfully than any other way. I know it doesn't appeal very much for us, but imagine situation where nothing can help. Hitler, for example, or Stalin. Would you not want to really chop his head off? Or with happiness, fully. And that would be such a great solution. Unfortunately, he was protected by Asuras, and that's why he could not be killed. until he really damaged a lot. But that damage, again, was a learning experience. Again,
But
that,
then he took his own life, allegedly.
yeah. Well,
Then is that something, was that maybe knowledge coming to him at
I
that moment, do
I
you think?
think Sri Aurobindo describes this differently. He says actually those who were under influence of asuras, of such force, they are never left to live. They are actually killed by the very force, they were part of. There is no mercy for them. They are the same food as everybody else. They just didn't know about it when they thought that they were chosen. But
That's what happened with Mussolini anyway.
yeah, with every one of them. Just look how they all ended. They all
Well, I
ended.
think Stalin had a very merciful end.
Oh, he was um, what
Heart attack or stroke or something.
he was poisoned. They describe how he ended. It was a very painful death.
Oh, good. Okay.
Shitting and pissing
Yeah,
in his
sure.
pants and vomiting and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, see, the
Yeah.
common story is that he just had either a massive stroke or a massive heart attack.
That's again KGB story, which always lying, never saying any one word of truth, because they are manipulative like anything. But yes, he ended up very badly, and
Oh, well, that's maybe
they say about Crimea.
Crimea's.
Yeah, Crimea was that half island, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
Was sold to Rothschilds or Rockefellers by Lenin for 20 million gold rubles or something, with which they made this revolution in Russia. And interestingly, when they came and they said, because they wanted to create in Crimea the place for Israel, that time Israel, they wanted to have Israel in Crimea or something. Yeah, that
Who's
had to
they? Who wanted that?
Rothschilds and Rockefellers.
After
He,
World War One, there was this idea, well, we got to find a place for the, we're going to make these deals. And it's hard to know what the deals were, but that was one option on the table.
Well, I tell you, we would have saved a lot of heartache if that had happened.
Well, perhaps. And along that line, just another footnote of history. I've read a detailed biography of Mao, and his behavior, even by Stalin's standards, was somewhat offensive. And Stalin resorted to raising one of his children, one of Mao's children, partly as hostage, but frankly, the child would not have survived to adulthood if Stalin had not kept him as a hostage. And Mao let his own child die in the Korean War.
Mao, it is another crook. And
Right. Well, yeah, but apparently, even by Stalin's standards, he was over the edge.
he had many more people to kill. Yes, right. It was easy for him. But what is interesting with Crimea, I just want to finish this thought. When it was sold to Lenin, Lenin organized a revolution with this money, but he didn't give Crimea to them. Notice. And what happened, it's an amazing history. If you know about the history of Crimea, they destroyed all the fleet in Crimea. According to this agreement, they had to destroy Russian fleet there. They destroyed Lenin and all. They killed the whole fleet in order to give Crimea, but Stalin interfered. Lenin was arrested, the group, and they decided not to cheat on them. And what happened, Lenin died in a very strange circumstances, like in the hospital with some problems, most probably was poisoned, because he really didn't fulfill the agreement. Then Stalin was saying, yes, I will give Crimea, I will give. There was always with this Crimea going on. And he didn't. He was poisoned at the end of the war. Because of war, it was delayed. After the war, they came for him. Where is our agreement to get the land? didn't get. Now again Crimea coming up. Just look at this. Third time we have a problem. Putin, Ukraine had Crimea. Most probably Putin just snatched it by mistake. He made a big mistake. It's the land which is to be given to Rockefellers. Or I do not know. If you know the history, you would be surprised. There's something behind that Crimea which is going on. Anyhow, I will stop here. Sorry for
Maybe
this.
it's the Vastu of Crimea.
They wanted to create Israel. Maybe it would be better to have Israel there,
Much
away
better.
from
It would be
Arabs.
much
Well, they would have been quite vulnerable to the Russians, of course.
to the Russians. Of
Well,
course.
Ukrainians are there. They are very different. They are very
They're very
soft
different.
people, and they love to work. They never fight. They don't go to conquer other countries. They don't have that.
That's true, but all it takes is a little bit of an army rushing down from Russia to, so anyway.
That's what happened anyway. That's what happened anyway.
That's what happened. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very interesting conversation today.
Right. About Ardra, how to remove by force all those things which are not meant to be. Not by knowledge, but by force, by power. Not just trying to accommodate them to find the solution. No, just chop and that's done. And saving time, saving energy, saving consciousness. Sometimes we need to have this decisive will power. Agni. Burn to ashes everything and start anew, start fresh.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen in my life.
That's everybody praises to praying to Rudra not to destroy everything in my life. Yes? Keep us intact.
Well, in my lifetime, I mean, everything's going to go anyway, but that kind of, you see any kind of, World War II footage of the whole, the Germans apparently took this vast amount of videos of film of the whole travesty of everything. And if you watch it, it's absolutely, incomprehensible.
Germans have this sense of guilt or feeling of guilt after what they did, and that's why
They should. Of course they should feel guilt. They should.
Until now, they are very, very sincerely apologetic.
Yeah.
You can see
Well,
Merkel and
yeah, they've done something to deserve Merkel because she is a real force. I mean, for good.
she was good for Germany.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she's been so good. Anyway, I know you need to go.
I need to go.
Yes.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santo Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Namaha Hari Om Hari Om.